Now you mentioned people in the music industry. You guys touch on that on your new record. Um, I guess is it the New Pollution?
New Pollution, yeah.
Talk about that.
It's like this song that kicks off the album, and it pretty much just what he was talking about entails. Is a lot of the bands that do, you go through the bullshit ringer of the major labels and all that stuff, and get all these promises made to you. And when we first put out A Passage in Time, our first actual full-length album, it was on Law of Atlantic Records, and it was leading back to what he was saying with, if you don't sell 1 million records right away and you don't do things the way that they've got lined up for you, and you don't have as much of, your own ideas and things that you want to do, that you're able to do. If you end up going your own route a little bit, I guess you could say, which is kind of what we did with being signed with them. It obviously didn't sell the 1 million records that they were hoping for, and so the second album we put out, contractually they put it out, obviously, but, there was not the show of the album sales the first time around that they were looking for, so it pretty much, for the most part, got shelved as well. And after that, it was, we got the call, guys, it isn't working out, drop, that kind of thing. So that brought us to, have management at the time. We had nowhere else to go with our next record, 1234, from there. So they started up their own label, when they put it out for us. And long story short, things went south with that as well, and put us kind of where we're at. And through a lot of the hardships of the last 2.5 years in the writing process of this record, which brought Fletcher and Ken into the picture, presenting the idea of doing something more of a partnership, and more of a, like I said, kind of a ground roots kind of thing, and just giving us more of an opportunity to do more of the things we wanted to do again. We pretty much, that song's about just being through the bullshit ringer of the major label corporations and all that stuff. And, we've seen it happen to a lot of bands out there on the road and a lot of our friends' bands as well. So it just kind of came, that song kind of came kind of naturally.
Hey man, it's a corporate world. You sort of, no matter what, I live in a city that's super corporate, so I can choose to, stay away from it as much as I can. And
Sure.
I'd imagine it's probably the same with a band, that you sort of probably have to deal with certain things you can't get around, but to the best of your ability, right?
Yeah, all in all, it's your own choices you make, and you can, lead you into a brick wall, or it can lead you somewhere great, And
So that's three, I guess relationships, or two relationships that in the music industry that went south, but you guys survived. You put out the new record.
Yep.
And talk about that theme of survival.
That's pretty much it, man. Again, the last 2.5, 3 years, we've been together for about 16 years now, and all basically original members up until a few years back. And, it does get hard. It wears on you a little bit when you've been through those kind of situations consistently, and trying to stay alive with it and stay together as a group and just keep each other's spirits up and keep moving forward. Whereas in the last couple of, 2.5 years or so, band members ended up leaving the band due to unfortunate situations, and then about 4 or 5, friends had come in and filled in spots just to kind of keep the band even going and keep it together and keep playing shows. And thank God, because of all of that, it actually brought our original bass player Jeremy Wood back.
Right, we were saying off camera, it's probably a big deal for you guys.
It's huge, yeah. He's right over there sitting down. Check him out. He's going to take a nap.
He's sleeping.
He's hungover. It was my birthday last night, so we got down. But
that's right. Happy birthday.
But yeah, it was great. Again, through all the ups and downs, through your choices, sticking with it, and dealing with a lot of the crap that came along with that. It brought almost the entire band back full circle. The only new member being Zach Vogel on guitar, and it's just kind of what that whole album's about. It's just sticking with what you believe in, and going through the ups and downs and doing the work and fighting through it and coming out happy and on top and just continuing to do what you love no matter what.
Well, it's interesting to say that because the album does sound like that. It sounds like you guys sort of have this revitalized, sort of refreshing sense of the band, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's almost like a rebirth. Again, after all that, some people, people start losing faith. People aren't as into it anymore, obviously, and so, the drives get longer. Makes us, the hour and a half that you're on stage, it's what it's all for, is for that hour and a half on stage, and sometimes when that goes south after, people lose sight of things, it's nice to have, in a sense, refreshing new outlook. Zach had never been in a touring band before and been through a lot of the band madness and all that stuff, you know what I mean? So he definitely brought a new vibrance and a new life to all of us, really. And Jeremy being back again, too, was almost like a nice break for him. So he came back full guns and ready to go again, so it's nice, yeah.
Sweet. Obviously, there's the political stuff here, or at least the social commentary.
Yeah, socially well.
Why is that important for your band?
Just because when we're back home, again, it was a long 2.5 years leading back to that. It's really what this whole album kind of entails, is that time off or whatever.
Yeah.
all of us had like, a bunch of had like side jobs and just, trying to stay alive while trying to be in a group as well and continue doing that. I had a career job that I was doing for a while, and I worked with a couple of friends at this career job. And, it's when all the gas prices were going up, like mad too. We had to pay for our own gas for this job as well. And, after a little bit, I ended up getting laid off. And then shortly thereafter, my other buddy got laid off. And then shortly thereafter, my other buddy got laid off. All of our, friends' houses were foreclosing, like a lot of, it's really hard times for our friends and a lot of our family members, and it just all started seeming to crumble all around the same time, to where it just had a huge impact on a lot of the just natural writing ability with this record, like Big Bad World. Yeah. That's kind of what that song entails, is just, the gas prices kept going up and up and up, and, you're making this paycheck kind of, but at the same time your car's going to hell, and, you're putting all your money back into the gas tank just to, try and make a living, and then, you're getting laid off, your buddies are getting laid off, everybody's looking for, the answers and help and trying to figure things out. So
it's rough, man. That's like, I guess also ties back to that survival theme.
Sure.
Are you guys, like, I mean, Pennywise obviously was very political, still are political. You guys confident in America, sort of? You guys got a bad rap because of Bush. I love Americans, great people.
Sure.
I think you really fucked you guys.
Yeah, it's been a pretty rocky for the last 8 years, man, and it's I think it's still pretty rocky. I think there's a lot of work that could be done and needs to be done, and we'll just hope that everybody gets their head out of their ass, and all the politicians come to mutual agreements, and stop being so left and right, and just come and try and find the answers to help people out and get things fixed.
If your your political views, or like your punk ethic, ideologies, all that stuff, does that stuff ever put you guys in compromising situations?
Not especially too often. I mean, it has, like we were talking a bit about, there's a big law in Arizona right now, the Prop 1070, that obviously we get asked every interview since we started putting this album out. It's never been about the records, but more about that law, to be honest with you. But because people just want to hear, what we have to say about it and everything, and where we're coming from. Yeah, it is. It's definitely opened the door for racial profiling, and it's caused bands to, boycott the state of Arizona, which, as a fan, just as strictly as a fan coming, it's like it's I see what the idea behind that is and what they're trying to accomplish in the same sense. A lot of kids don't understand that back in Arizona because they just don't know really, what they're doing it for, and they feel like they're kind of being, put aside as well because of the bad choices that have been made. So I mean, I guess that's one of the things that I guess it could come to a compromise situation to where it's like you need to make some choices sometimes if you believe in something strongly, and make certain moves to make it happen.
Fletcher, I'm assuming you have some sort of crazy story.
Oh no, I mean I don't know. We've been yelling and screaming about politics for a lot of years, and
thanks for keep doing it though. I mean, not as many bands these days in that world do so.
I think that's kind of our everyone's responsibility in life. If you're living in a country that is not perfect, it's not like Sweden or something like that, where all the chicks are hot and it costs only $10 when you break your arm. You should probably get off your ass and comment on, what you think's going on. I mean, whatever job you're doing, whatever kind of life you're leading, you can't just sit around and just not do anything about it. So for us, we have the perfect platform. We can write songs about it. People read them, they listen to them, they sing them, it imprints in their head. Get up on stage, every night we're terrorizing BP and Halliburton, right now, because that's like the topic that's really, making us really mad. I mean, it's just these companies get so powerful, with their money, that they just control everything. They control the government. It's like they get away with murder, literally, and that whole situation down there obviously could have been prevented. Now BP's pointing the finger at Halliburton, saying they didn't do the proper construction, and Transocean didn't do the proper maintenance, and it's like, we'll take a little bit of blame, but not all of it. It's like they're all to blame, and our government's to blame for deregulating, which the Bush administration was pretty famous for, is like deregulating all these laws and things that were put in place to make sure there was like safety shutoff valves, or make sure you couldn't buy a house with like a job at working at Domino's Pizza, and it's like all this stuff happens, and all these people are looking at the monetary side of it. They're going to get rich quick. They don't care about the the collapse of the housing market and the collapse of the American economy and then the worldwide economy, you know, they weren't thinking about that 5-6 years ago. They were thinking, wow, I'm loaded now, you know, and that's the problem. Like, greed is just, it's the bottom line. Like, how much do you need? Do you really need a 200-room mansion, even though you're going to stay in one? Do you really need 17 cars? I mean, I have a bunch of cars, but they're old and they don't work, and I just like to fix them up. So I'm kind of guilty. But, you know, it's like, how much material items do you need, and what are you willing to do to get those material items? Are you willing to screw over people? Are you willing to screw over the entire Gulf of Mexico?
Explore Music wears English Laundry apparel.